8 tips not talked about enough that'll help boost your recovery. The last 2 are big. Let's go. Kyle Ruggeri coming at you. All right, I've been talking a lot about different substances lately, but not enough about helping people in recovery and some of the big tips that are not talked about enough. And the last 2, you definitely want to pay attention to. They're not pushed in mainstream and discussed, but they can be game changers. Before I get going, I want to thank everyone for the love and support. If you want to help support us, share the videos, like, subscribe, and check out our Patreon. YouTube flags every video I put up. So if you want to help support me and Danny Boy, check it out, and thank you guys. You're the best. Okay, let's get right into it. Number 1, don't live based on your emotions. Your emotions are going to be a disaster in early recovery. It is going to be a roller coaster. You will have 2 weeks of feeling great, and then you will wake up one day and just be depressed through the roof. Your brain is in a state of chaos from years of whatever you did, addiction, drinking, and just avoidance, 10,000 other behaviors. You gotta learn to push through that, not pay attention to your emotions. Okay to talk about it with somebody, you know, if you have a sponsor or you got a therapist or whatever, but when you're sitting there, your emotions are going to tell you, don't do this, avoid this, go back to this, do this, and it's just going to be anxiety and this and this and this and this. So don't live based on your emotions. Feelings are not facts. Every day, oh, I don't feel like going to work. I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like doing this. But we do it anyway because we have to. Push through those emotions. It'll get more and more steady as you build in recovery. Number 2, change, change, change. Change things when you get into recovery, and it might seem like the smallest or weirdest little things, but it can have a monster impact. Hear me out. It's going to sound weird, but I'm telling you, if you do these little things, it helps rewire your brain. Brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Literally something different that you wouldn't think about, just doing, starting to trigger a different way of thinking. My sponsor in recovery literally had me drive to work. Okay, go the back way. Go a different way to work. Just to change up the routine, to get your brain out of that same routine that it's always into and it's been into. Change. I literally put my sock on right to left. No, I'm putting them on left foot first and then right. Change whatever you need to. They say the only thing you got to change in recovery is everything. Change whatever you have to. This is life and death for many of us. Literally, when I went back into my room and a lot of my stuff was in the same spot it was in during my addiction, just seeing the furniture in the same spot bothered me. So I threw as much out as I could, got a couple new things that I could afford, and reorganized the room. Literally, just so when I walk in, it's not the same as it was set up prior. Something different for the brain. Change, change, change. 3, find the root cause. Probably the biggest one on this list. So many people think that the drug or the drinking or whatever the problem is the problem. They put down alcohol, they put down when they put down whatever the drug is, they do a little bit on recovery, and then they either relapse or they're miserable or whatever. There is pretty much always a root cause or causes for all of us as to why we went to these drugs and alcohol in the first place. It might be childhood trauma, it might be insecurities, it might be self-esteem things, it might be violence in the past or currently. Whatever that root cause is, you gotta get to it and work on it. If not, you're going to circle back eventually at some point in time. You might get a little bit better, but you still won't really be happy. There's something inside that pushed each of us to avoid life and jump to drugs and alcohol. So find that and work on it, preferably with somebody else. I'm a big fan of therapy, but I'm also a firm believer in finding the right therapist. A lot of people get a therapist who co-signs their bull. Don't get that. Get somebody who's going to question and call you out on stuff if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. 4, break it down. Break it down, break it down, break it down. This is monster. We get into recovery and we want to rebuild everything. Oh, I want to rebuild my relationships with my family. I want to get a job. I want to get money. I want to buy a car. I want to get my own place. I want to catch up on those bills I'm behind. I want to get a girlfriend. I want to start a Great, but it's overwhelming. You gotta break it down. Time takes time, one step at a time. An example of this, I had a stack of like financial shit that I destroyed in addiction. Owed money to the IRS, owed money to the DMV, owed money to 3 insurance companies, owed money to a couple of collection agencies, owed money to a hospital in Baltimore for when I fell off the bridge in Johns Hopkins, jumped off the freaking harbor. I was like, oh, I want to really tackle this. And I sit down and I was just like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. I got to log in on this website. I got to call this company. I got college loan this company. Break it down. The next day I wrote down, I'm going to spend 5 minutes a day for the next week on this. And that's it. Most of the time I'd go a little bit over 5 minutes, so I'd end up doing 10, 15. But hey, I opened 3 pieces of mail. I called 2 companies and went on a website for 3 minutes. And that's all I'm going to do today. Don't try to tackle the whole world at once. It doesn't work like that, and it will overwhelm us and send us back. 5. Get involved in some type of program, recovery program, or even just positive community. The stats do not lie on this one. People involved in some type of long-term recovery community and or program or general just community have a higher rate of success in recovery, have a lower relapse rate, a higher rate of success, and tend to be happier. This can vary. I know some people don't like 12 steps, doesn't have to be. I know some people don't like church programs, doesn't have to be. Find whatever works for you, but some program. You could find anything now. There is women in recovery groups, online and in person. There's men in recovery groups, online and in person. Smart recovery, fitness recovery, Buddhist recovery. You can find something that you like, and if you go to something and it doesn't click with you, keep trying. But surrounding yourself with positive, like-minded people, especially a community that understands you, is huge for a positive and healthy recovery. 6, be prepared to grieve. We are going to grieve in early recovery. And you're like, what are we grieving? You're grieving the loss of this substance that was our best friend, our lover, our worst enemy, everything. There is a metaphorical hole in the heart for so many people in early recovery. This substance we used, I mean, just think about it. If you ate a piece of candy 10 times a day, every day for the next 10 years, you ate a Starburst, let's say. If you stop doing that, you're gonna feel weird, you're gonna feel off because your brain attributes that Starburst with everything you've done. Now times that by 10 with a substance that's increasing all these chemicals in the brain and releasing all these different things, we are going to grieve the loss of that substance. It feels empty and weird without having it. So be prepared. It's okay. This is completely normal. It'll get easier and better over time. But that goes back to the emotion one. Don't fall into the trap of the emotions. Just you grieve it. It's literally like losing anything. You work through it and let it go. All right, the last 2. The big ones. 7, get a full physical workup. This one is not talked about enough. I know sometimes it might cost a little bit of money depending on your health care, but if you're on, any Medicaid or state health care, this definitely, you could get this done. Get a full blood work and physical workup with your doctor. There are so many people, we get into recovery, this happened with me. I get into recovery, I'm doing okay, but like little things just felt off. I go to the doctor, we did a full physical and blood work, and just little things that she was telling me like, hey, your vitamin D is really, really low. Boom, I started supplementing with vitamin D. It helped a ton. Like that one little thing, it just helped a ton. There was another thing, I had an issue going on with iron, and it was like, this and that. But so by getting the blood work, we were able to nail it in and fix it and work on it. And it was like the energy and the difference in sleep was just through the roof. So getting a full blood work done, and you can kind of see where you're at, what you need to work on, what areas are going up and down. This can be huge, and this could be a big reason why you were using in the first place. I know a lot of people that were like, I just didn't feel good. I was self-medicating. So they, are using their drugs or drinking, and then all of a sudden they find out, wow, my hormones were way off. And just by taking a supplement, it boosted me and got my mood way better. And along with that one is, of course, the cheat code, physical exercise. If you want to boost your happiness and recovery and get your brain to repair quicker, physical exercise is the cheat code. They say it takes 6 months to a year for the brain to start repairing when somebody stops using drugs. Exercise shortens that. Your brain will start repairing quicker. And number 8, build your support network. If you did one simple thing on this whole list, root cause and this would probably be the biggest 2 to stick with. Get your list of people in your phone and start building your support network. People are like, oh, that's simple. Like I hear that all the time, or like, yeah. It's huge. So many people get numbers in their phone, don't ever use it. So many people just write down like, Bob met at a meeting. Like, great, but is Bob gonna help you with specific things? And what I mean by that is I have like a list of people that I've written down specifics as to who I can call for what, and I call them. When I'm having a craving, or if I have a craving or a trigger, my parents are my biggest support, but I don't call them because they don't understand it. I can call my sponsor, he gets it. I can call my friend from rehab who's in recovery, he gets it. And when I'm having business stress or financial stress, there's another guy I know in recovery that me and him bonded on, businesses and stuff like that. He gives great advice. I call him for that. When I'm having relationship stuff, there's another person that I click back and forth with. Me and her always talk about this stuff. So build that support network and you'll know who's who for what issue you got to call. And it can be like a game-changing cheat code, because literally you could sit there like, I'm pissed off about work today. I'm having a bad day. I'm freaking out. Oh, I can call Sally. Me and her always talk about work and she always helps me look at it in a better perspective and blah, blah, blah. It's just like getting that second, opinion, building that network with other people. It's huge. And at the same time, you're building the positive network, you're cutting out the people from your old past life. Get them out of there. I'm a firm believer in the statement, show me the 5 people you surround yourself with and I'll show you your future. That's huge. What people are you around most of the time, and you will see what your life is going to look like in 5-10 years. 8 huge tips. If you could do all 8 of those things, you will see a monster increase in your life, your recovery, your happiness, all of it. K-Rugs, the Soberdog, and I'm out. Love you guys. Thank you for the support. See ya. The doggy roll. Danny, say what up. Say what up, buddy.